Hello, welcome back to Let's Play the Journeyman Project 2 Buried in Time. We finally documented all the sources for the ripples that came from our time zone, and we've been able to draw some conclusions. But there's still some gaps missing. Ooh, Arthur has a comment about this.
Yes, it's lava lamp 2328.
Ah. Alright, but now we have an environment cartridge from that last artifact. So hopefully, whatever's on this will put the missing details. Will fill in the missing details for us. This card encoded to play back in Clagmar Radiation Band. Alright. Well, someone doesn't want us to see this. There is a way to see it, though. And that's by attaching the lens filter.
Okay. This cartridge is the final piece you'll need to build a time machine. You should also have the Da Vinci Codex, which contains various formulae, the sculpture which morphs into a schematic diagram, and the medieval sword which holds the energy focusing element. This cartridge contains all existing notes, plans, and diagrams on the construction of the neutrino matrix accelerator, the time machine's power source. You'll be able to recreate the accelerator from these notes. By using the formulae, schematics, and focusing element to control the accelerator and harness its power, you'll be able to turn it into a functioning time machine. The information on this cartridge has been arranged in chronological order, starting with the building of the accelerator's framework, and following the process of its construction through to the final point. Good luck. And Sorry to interrupt, Gage, but I need that back.
Oh, good, you're awake. Don't bother trying to move, your suit's disabled. I've got you hooked up to the jumpsuit maintenance frame. Well, it took me a while, but I finally figured out how you did it. I remembered that Agent 8 told me that when you broke house arrest, he found you back in your old apartment, without your suit. So that was the Gage that I know. And he jumped back into the past to enlist your help, right? Because he knew that he was being watched. You certainly are resourceful, aren't you? I didn't even know that that was possible. Just when I thought I had you under my control, you go and pull something like this on me. While you were unconscious, I looked at your evidence biochip. That's some pretty incriminating stuff. Looks like I've got no choice. I'm going to have to erase it and, mind wipe you. Well, at least you won't remember how painful it was. In fact, when you wake up back in your apartment in the year 2319, you won't remember that any of this ever happened. Or, will happen, I guess. Well, first, I've got to send back the environ cart that you stole from me. Well, despite your best efforts, humans are no longer the only beings capable of time travel. It's for the better, Gage, believe me. We just can't be trusted with such a powerful tool. Human nature would eventually drive us to use it for the wrong reasons. And if we're not the only ones with the technology, maybe we won't be as tempted to misuse it. My contact promised me that it would be given to every race of the symbiotree that wants it.
Oh, Gage, this doesn't look good. The jump controls are locked out and she's got you completely immobilized. While you were taking a commercial break, she hooked us up to this thing. She's been downloading stuff from your biochips ever since. She hasn't discovered me yet, but I'm afraid it's just a matter of time. I keep trying to sneak a peek down the data stream, but I'm afraid I'm gonna stand out like a Like a rat in a garden hose. Hey, that was pretty good. Anyway, I'll keep trying.
You probably think that I'm ill, that I'm insane. I really can't blame you. I mean, no one from our generation has ever seen how aggressive we can really be. Or the generation before us, for that matter. Or the ones before that. But every single one of my historical research missions involved studying war. I've been to the Nazi death camps and Hiroshima. I've seen the terrorist massacres. I've lived it. I know. You can't possibly imagine the horror of seeing a bustling city of thousands vaporized by a nuclear firestorm, or a crowd of people shredded into bloody ribbons by a single shrapnel, as you watch, helpless. But that's what happens when we feel the need to bare our teeth. It's human nature, and it's not something that just a couple of 100 years can erase. Look around you. Do you know what this place is? It's a missile silo. Well, a few centuries ago, there were tens of thousands of these, and each one contained a nuclear missile powerful enough to obliterate an entire sector. That's enough to destroy the world 50 times over. Yet just 3 centuries later, even before the physical reminders are gone, we're claiming that we've matured into a peaceful race of beings. How can we be that naive?
That's it. She just hooked up the pipeline I needed. I'm gonna swim up and see if I can stop her.
You probably figured out that I was the one that rigged the security grid. I had to be able to get the things I needed from the Pegasus warehouse without being seen. But when you started asking around about the mistake in the grid, well, I mean the future you, that is, I had to change my plans. So, instead of just sending the information to my contact, I came up with the idea of hiding it in historical artifacts. Artifacts from your research dates that were also slated for sale at the Louvre art auction. That way, all I had to do was tell my contact which items to buy, and the transaction was nearly impossible to trace. And if anyone started digging around because of what they saw, well, they'd discover the ripples and come straight back to you. I even found some valuable trinkets to plant in your locker if that helped. Just that one simple move would give you a motive and the court a scapegoat. But, I didn't want to have to do it. I never thought for a second that someone might accidentally discover the ripples. I mean, how often do we do manual scans? Someone must have been bored out of their minds that day. I'm sorry, Gage. I really am. If I could be the one that was arrested, if I could take responsibility for my actions, I would in a second, believe me. I had no choice. I don't want to do this to you, but if I don't, it will all have been for nothing. If they find out how the technology was spread, they'll be able to keep it from ever happening. That's the problem with time travel. Nothing's ever safe. That's why I had to do it. I had to even the playing field, even a little. I'm sorry if I'm making you an unwilling martyr to my cause, but that's just the way it's gotta be. Please understand. Why am I even bothering with this? You're not gonna remember any of this anyway.
Gage, I'm there! It's all hooked up, everything! It's all controlled through the neural link into our suit! You can create a virus and shut the whole thing down! Just need to get into it. No. There's a password, Gage. I need a password. What do you know about my shell? I'm setting up an interface link for you. I need a password or we've both got instant Alzheimer's. See what you can dig up. Hurry!
Fortunately, they don't. Cybersecurity is not a big focus in the future. I'll explain the reasoning for this later because I already had one crash, but
That's it! We're in! Only there's one thing I didn't tell you, Gage. You're gonna have to do the rest without me. I'm the virus. Thanks for the adventure. I'll see you on the other side.
What's going on? What did you do? What did you do?
Alright, so we're able to break free, and let me save now. Yeah, I had a crash right in, the game crashed out, like, after her first segment, where she was still kind of being villainous, as opposed to more of a sympathetic villain, like, oh, you're so much more clever than I thought, I guess I'll have to mind wipe you. But, which I find that really funny, because the rest of her performance is really good, but that first part makes her sound almost malicious. But so the reason the password was grab ball, excuse me, it's actually a very subtle what they do. If you recall, and they let you do this, they let you go into the files bio chip and access her dossier. But if you look in her profile, grab ball is the only thing mentioned multiple times. That she was first place in grab ball. She has an interest in grab ball, and then, if you recall her voice message to us at the beginning of the game, we lost a grab ball challenge to her, and she said she needed to use our environment cartridge or our environment system to record a cartridge, which makes me wonder if she didn't use our system to record the time travel data cartridge that she sent off. Just as a means that, if they were able to trace what system made it, then it would show up as our system as a means of further implicating us. But, so that's really your only clue, is the fact that grab ball is mentioned multiple times. Unfortunately, despite being a law enforcement officer, she does not use, what is that, Control C? Oh, Control V. Interesting. I never knew you could, get that. Alright. Anyways, so unfortunately Arthur sacrificed himself to save us and to save history, which was very noble of him, and he will be sorely missed. Because honestly, Arthur adds so much to this game, and he's just a good person. Learning about the world and freeing him from the certain death on the space station. You also notice, sorry, going on tangents here, our jump file chip is actually burned out. So because of Michelle, so we can't use that anymore. We can't go to any time zones. We can't return to our apartment. Fortunately, though, even though the lens filter was affixed to our jumpsuit lens, when we were watching that video, she didn't take that off. She put that back in our inventory, which was really kind of her. I know it's for gameplay reasons, but it's still kind of funny to me. Oh, hey. Let's see. Generator core. Object analysis generator core. This is a cold fusion generator core. It appears to be in working condition. Alright, we're going to need that later. So you can see she set herself up quite a little base. She's got a jumpsuit diagnostic mainframe. She's got... oh, this, which is actually the cold fusion generator. Which, her impromptu jump out burned out the core. Which, as you can see, burned out core. This is a burned out core of a cold fusion generator. It is emitting non-lethal amounts of gamma radiation. Warning, generator core will interfere with transport beams if not stored in your null time pocket. Which, that's actually very important, so remember that. Let's see here. Whee! Painting. I love painting. Anyways. I don't know what causes that bug, but it always amuses me. There we go. So now we've got standard lighting restored, and we can see a lot better. So we can look around. She's got a bunk bed with like, so there's Jupiter's, I think Jupiter. There's a kid, maybe like a nephew or something. I guess this is a family picture, or supposed to be. So she definitely felt like she was fighting for something, and it's hard to hold that against her. I mean, what she did was obviously especially heinous, considering the history of this world. But it's interesting how her and Elliot Sinclair differ. And they aren't truly being villainous. They aren't doing this for their own power or anything. Interesting. That looks like a naval officer. They aren't doing this for their own power. They aren't doing this for like profit or anything. They're doing this. Both of them are driven by fear. In Elliot's case, he was driven by a fear of aliens, an alien contact, whereas Michelle was driven by a fear of humanity and of what humanity is capable of. Because if you noticed when we went over her profile, all of her missions, like she said, were war zones. So actually, if we go back and access that real quick, nope. So Auschwitz, obviously, World War II, slaughtering, the genocide of Jewish people in Germany. Hiroshima, obviously, one of the first uses of nuclear weapons. Forget if it's first or second. I should know better, but I think they were only 3 days apart. Paris Massacre, March 11, 2019 AD. This one was not real at the time of the creation of this game, obviously, but because back then terrorism was maybe not uncommon, but it wasn't as prolific as it is today. And then the Appomattox Courthouse, April 9th, 1865. I believe that is a battle in the U.S. Civil War, and an especially bloody one. So all of her missions involved humans slaughtering each other, which obviously isn't healthy, because if you remember from the first game, or at either of the first games, we are the peaceful generation. We fought our wars, we took down the dictators, we realized we're stronger together, and we came together, we broke down all those barriers, and we are one people now. We are a peaceful generation. We don't even really have a military. We just have, like, police and a special forces police unit, of which we're like a top secret division. That's it. That's like this world's military, at least as far as we know. So I don't know how they cover those subjects in school, but it's easy to see why Michelle would get messed up like by that, and then be driven to ironically follow the doctrine of MAD, or mutually assured destruction, figuring if everyone else has time travel technology, no one will be tempted to misuse it. But I think she doesn't give us enough credit. The U.S., for example, had nukes for several years before the Segment radiation voice 11 kilohertz. Keep that in mind. But like the U.S., for example, after World War II, we had nukes for several years before. I forget their name, but before it was like a spy ring ended up transmitting these secrets to the Soviet Union, and they developed their own nukes from that information. And we could have nuked everyone and taken over the world, and we didn't, for one reason or another. But I think it goes to show cooler heads can prevail if given the chance. Now, there is one more important piece of information here, because this little thing on the TAC board is actually the INN's. Actually, like a INN interface. Yeah, she's got like a tablet on her board or something. And the thing we want to see, you can research all these if you missed them earlier, but one of them actually has an updated story, and that's the Symbiotry Technology Discussions.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor. La peinture.
In a late-breaking update from the technology discussions, the Kryn ambassador Icarus moments ago stormed out of the talks, apparently frustrated with the lack of progress. The conflict began when the ambassador said, quote, "Even the Kryn can no longer deny the truth of the situation and that they don't understand how anyone could defend our right to keep such a hazardous technology." Until last week, Icarus maintained the Kryn's usual position, that each race should be allowed complete autonomy over its own technologies. But their attitude changed soon after Agent 5 was arrested. Since then, the Kryn ambassador has repeatedly tried to gain the support of all the other envoys in fighting for the abolishment of time travel. When this last plea once again met with resistance, Icarus launched into a tirade, exclaiming that if they had known better, they would not have voted to let such an obstinate and naive race as humanity into the symbiotry. He then abruptly departed. The talks will go on despite the Kryn withdrawal.
Well, that's an interesting, abrupt about-face, and we actually want to, let's skip all this.
The opinion
So, the Kryn are suspect number one, but we know from Farnstein's lab, the sculpture was encoded to respond to a frequency of 12 kilohertz, and we know from Da Vinci's lab and the environment cartridge that they use Plagmar radiation to see. So if we go through these species, we can look at their sight and communication. So it's not the Loxani.
The opinion original. The Dorloon.
It's not the Dorloon. It's not. Well, the Zang Trakar fit the communication with 12 kilohertz, but they do not fit the sensory perception.
The Dorloon and Zangt. Perhaps.
And then the Dorloon do not fit the profile either. Heal for denial. The Kryn, 11 kilohertz range, auditory 5 to 12 kilohertz, so they fit that range, and Plagmar radiation.
Despite
Sorolans, they fit the auditory range, but nothing about Plagmar radiation.
Despite
the SAR, again, fit the vocal range, but not the Plagmar radiation.
Despite being recent, in
I
fact,
think that's
our
all for there, for
the
dismantling.
third point.
The Unwa sensory communication varies by individual, so theoretically, yeah, but
The third view,
honestly, no.
which was original.
Luxani, no.
The third view, they were joined by like the others that shared.
And that's it. So that's all we really need to get out of there. Is now we know. Oh, there's actually one more thing. Let me go back. Rest assured, I am trying to skip this. Okay, so Symbiotry Tech discussions.
Word from our sponsor.
In a late
I'll print. The other thing we need to remember is this temporal prefix code of transport prefix of 272. Now there's one other thing. Like how she's got like diagrams of the silo and how she's got it filled in. There is one other thing we can look at, and that's this plasma tool, which has some preset programs we can run through. The skeleton key, for example. Look familiar? Human heart. Well, that's the source of the synthetic blood. transport code. This is actually one we need. Let's see if I actually... Hey, I did it. Okay. Just grabbing these with my phone so I don't have to write them down. Glass pyramid. Because apparently the Mayan puzzle was sensitive only to the shape and not necessarily the mass. Or, like, other stuff. And then I guess that's the last one. I think somewhere there's reference to her having a, like a jump pack that she used to get around the, why is there a picture of, like, is that a car crash? I don't know what that's about. I like how there's just all these random pictures. I don't even know what happened. Like, some of them could be family and stuff, but others are like, what the fuck? You know, kind of like that one. So I think that about does it for what we can do here. It's not very much, as you can see, but we got the information we need. Pretty sure, and she's basically filled in all the pieces except one. We now know Michelle was working alone. We now know why she framed us. It's because we discovered the glitch in the security system that she caused. We now know why she was doing it, which was because she felt humanity would eventually use it for the wrong reasons. So we've got all that figured out. And we know she was giving it to the Kryn. Although Michelle said they were going to give it to every race in the symmetry that we wanted it. But clearly, in the negotiations, they seemed very intent on dismantling it. Which then, since they have acquired it in secret, if everyone were to dismantle it, they would have sole control over the technology. So, either they're playing some 4D chess to try to divert attention from what they're doing, or they've pulled the wool over Michelle's eyes and she's freaking naive. In any event, though. Actually, let me save here, just in case. LP 20. There's a couple more things we gotta do. First off, let's attach our... Oh, it's still... okay, so she just let us keep our lens filter on. So, alright, now we've made sure that it is on. And let us activate our translator biochip. Alright, touchscreen to continue, industrial matter transporter. Enter destination address code. So that's the long code that we got. Now, I like the little plasma tool thing because it basically shows how Michelle is getting around without solving the puzzles that we have to solve. And I really like that touch. 0235. You know, most games would like gloss over it. But nope, not this one. They have it explained. So she's able, I forget where it's implied that she has a jump pack. But it's implied. So it's like that hole that what we found, that passageway between the habitat and science wings, she was just able to fly through there, for example. Whereas, obviously, we couldn't grab anything in time and flung ourselves out of the station, so we had to go the long way around. Alright. So if you did not have the lens filter fixed, your built-in light source, the suit's built-in light source would be ineffective. You would just have a black screen, you wouldn't see anything, and you'd basically soft lock your game at that point. Okay. Not what I wanted, but...
Transporter pod set for organic and inorganic matter.
And it's kind of important to listen to these because they offer some clues. Okay, so we angle ourselves in.
Transporter pod set for inorganic matter only.
So because it's set for inorganic matter only, if you were to transport yourself in this, it would only transport your suit and leave you behind. And you'll notice I had the Samco biochip on for that, and that's because these are played in the Kryn's native language. So we're going to leave that on for now. So we know this is probably the destination. Well, we know for sure that this is probably the destination that Michelle sent that cartridge to. So now we have to get everything back. And if you're not sure where we're at, because I think there is like a message saying where we were, this is actually a Kryn ship in Earth orbit. Specifically, Ambassador Icarus's ship that's here for the conference. Where do I go? It's certainly a very interesting ship design. I'm not really a fan of like these organic ship designs in science fiction, but this is a pretty good one, all things considered. No, that's not what I want. Crap. Alright, I gotta unstick myself.
Inorganic matter only.
Alright, we gotta get out of here before they, I guess it would have to be this way then, right? Yeah, okay, here we go. So, fortunately, we're able to swim through their aqueous environment, but it's obviously a not very effective method. Alright, so we have a junction here. So, if we just push in, we gotta hide because we don't want to be detected. And you'll see they have a very interesting transport system where like these tunnels kind of convulse and draw people through them, which is how we're going to be getting through here. Alright, I think yeah, those are the guys that stay there. Now, we'll deal with them later, but this is the way we want to go. And we can look around and enjoy the flesh tubes. But let's keep going. And this is something. So it looks like some sort of repository. And we can see, I think that's supposed to be the environment cartridge in there. It's really hard to tell because it's like, I think we got some gold on gold going on there. Yeah, so there's the puzzle box, which they don't even need. They got the cartridge separately. There's the Codex Atlanticus. Here is Arthur's sculpture. And last but not least, we have the medieval sword, or medieval as Michelle calls it. So, as it so happens, we have an explosive charge. This seems the most likely to survive an explosive charge, so... And the benefit of this is... Now, if you remember from the description, it's got like a grab pad that allows it to stick to any surface. So now we have Richard I's sword. This is a sword of Richard the Lionheart. It was probably used by him during the Third Crusade. So now that we have that, we can cut the rest of these out.
Cheese girl.
Hey, they like Cheese Girl too. good taste in pressurized cheese spread. Cheese-like spread, I guess, technically. So now we can go through and grab all these artifacts, which we have to do because these all contain the time travel technology on them. So if we just left them with them, even if we were able to clear our name, they'd still be able to have time travel. And now there'd be like a Cold War thing going on. Name, interactive sculpture. Description, self-awareness is an interactive sculpture credited to Kenneth Farnston. But of course we know Arthur is the real artist. I do not like how it automatically jumps to your latest entry, which most of the time it's okay, but now it means I have to scroll to the bottom every time to get to King Richard's sword. So this is the Codex Atlanticus. Description, the Codex Atlanticus is Leonardo da Vinci's codex on flight. It contains all of his thoughts, observations, and theories on the subject, as well as dozens of theoretical designs for flying machines. Here is the Mayan puzzle box, which I'm amused at the fact that it had nothing in it other than the Mayan cartridge. Mayan puzzle box. This is the ornate Mayan puzzle box from the natural caverns below Chichen Itza. Like, it almost makes it seem like that whole trial thing was just a scam. Like, you get past all these deadly traps, yeah, you open the box which has nothing in it. Which I don't mean to be disrespectful of their culture or anything, but you'd think there'd be like maybe some sort of ornate bracelet that says, hey, you're now a priest of our religion or whatever. Environment cartridge. This is an unlabeled environment cartridge. It'll play in any high-res system. So now we have everything again. And we want to keep Richard's sword out. Oh. Where is it? There it is. For now, at least. We'll eventually want to... So let's get out of here. We've got all the time travel technology. Let's get back to Earth. Alright, so this is that other door where they were just kind of chilling there. Well, let's close that off so they can't stop us. There we go. And now, the last thing we'll need, our last puzzle, is going to be... We're going to need to have this guy ready. So let's head back to the transporter bay. Alright. Oh no!
Why are you here? I believe we... No. Why? So, did you find what you came for? Somehow I suspect you have. We have also found what we have searched for. You cannot imagine what the secret you carry that's yours mean to my race. A means to correct the handicap that has plagued us since our patrons lifted us from the waters many centuries ago. A mixed blessing. To be taken from a universe over which you have achieved complete mastery and shown another much greater to be given the opportunity to build a bolder future. But from its lenses, my race is already there. For 15 generations, my race has been trying to catch up. You have brought us a tool with which to correct the evolutionary oversight, which left us swimming when we should have been collecting stars, with races who now call themselves our elders. We can learn much from that suit you're wearing. Transporting it off you will leave you without protection from our environment. It seems that will die.
Well, let's disrupt that transport beam. And let's transport his little robot arms off of him. And now he's harmless to us. But he's probably going to summon help, so we should not stay any longer. Hopefully this will be set to Earth, which is where he just came from.
Transporter pod set.
So let's hope that's the case and get the hell out of here.
Order! Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. We, the jury, find Gage Blackwood innocent on all accounts.
God, this is such a 90s screen and game screen. Congratulations, the evidence that you gathered was instrumental in affecting your future self's release. Repeated efforts to locate Agent 3 have been unsuccessful as no signature from her involuntary time jump has been detected by TSA chronolog scanners. After a lengthy investigation, Ambassador Icarus was found to be acting without the approval of the Kryn government and was dismissed from duty. Nevertheless, the elder races of the symbiote have resolved to keep the Kryn under close scrutiny. However, there's just one loose end remaining to be tied up.
Well, I have to say that even I'm impressed. I've been cleared of any wrongdoing, and the Kryn have been expelled from the symbiote. Now there's just one thing left to do. You can't stay here, but sending you back with knowledge of the future will cause a temporal distortion wave. So that leaves us with only one option. Sorry, but...
Mind wipe initiated.
Whoa. Did you ever get the feeling of deja vu?
God, that cutscene's a little rough because the audio is like desynced, but only by like a quarter second or something. So like the actions just are just out of phase with the words, and it's a little annoying. PSA transmission. Congratulations, history is safe. Description: Paragon Medal for Valor of Service. Of course, it'll be another 10 years before you can enjoy it. I guess this is supposed to be Commissioner Baldwin, but he looks nothing like Commissioner Baldwin in the game. And we can see there's 8 agents and then the TSA support staff there. Agent evaluation, we got all the critical evidence, all the supporting evidence, we solved every puzzle, we got all the research bonus, and we used 0 hints, so we got a perfect score of 15,000. And I will say, this is very fitting music, too, for having saved history again. I forget, is this timed, or do I click on it? I click on it. Alright. So, now we have the credits, which I'll give people a couple seconds to read over them. Actually, do these? Okay, I'm not going to read all of these, but I will put it up on the screen for those... That's not what I wanted to do. For those who want to read these. I'm actually surprised they went into such detail. These actually have spoilers too if you were to read the credits before finishing the game. Like, oh yeah, we modeled the alien ship. And it's like, alien ship? What? Oh, okay. We just... And this is actually, like, more, like, credits than most people get on video games or movies, especially these days. Bob Stewart, he did a lot of the music. Sound effects. Texture designer. Hey, I think he was the Cheese Girl person. Oh yeah, acting Cheese Girl representative. And voice of the house arrest system. Interesting. Okay. Where was that? Programming NPC. Oh wow. That is that is something from a long time ago. oh hey, he was a INN reporter. So they didn't like. If you ever thought the acting was bad for some of these people, it's because some of them weren't like trained actors; they were just programmers brought in to acting, really, or even other workers, I presume. Stunt double for Agents 3 and 5. Wait. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. I was like, what agents are those? And it's like, oh, right. Rochelle and Gage. And then additional crew, which apparently these people don't get their own thing, but jumpsuit tech support, that's seen illustrations. Gary Glover. So he's the one who made all those amazing illustrations of the death screens, and they are truly amazing. Matt Weinhold did additional writing for Arthur, which is the character he played. He's a comedian, so like he wrote jokes and stuff for Arthur. Soundstage jumpsuit prototyping, so these 4 or 5 people and the All Effects company made the jumpsuit, which I believe the jumpsuit from the third game is actually on display at a museum somewhere. Calligraphy, Charlene Alexander, so they probably did the journals from Chateau Gaillard, as well as the letter. Image processing, Latin translation. They didn't have Google Translate back then, so they had a person just to translate Latin. Chateau Gaillard architect, Richard I, King of England. Da Vinci invention design, Leonardo da Vinci. Imagine crediting Richard I, King of England, and Leonardo da Vinci in your project credits. Sanctuary Woods, who I believe was a publisher, so they don't get all the special scenes that the Presto Studios staff did. Sponsors, we see NEC Hardware, Macromedia, Director, Club Mac Hardware, HSC Software, Specular International Vidi, Ultimate, Onx Computing, Electric Image Incorporated. So they must have provided some of the tools used. Talent, so that's obviously the 4 big ones are Ray Oler as Mark Johnson, Todd McCormick as Gage Blackwood, Michelle Scarabelli as Michelle Vizard, and Matt Weinhold as the voice of Arthur. But they also have credits for like William Doughton and Lisa Long, Agent 8, and the Castle Guards. Gino Andrews. Castle Guard voice dubbing. So this guy apparently did all the translated versions of the Castle Guard stuff. The voice of Ambassador Icarus and Kenneth Farnstein, who apparently were the same person. Which, yeah, thinking back on it, yeah. Candace Apple was the voice of the Amrak station. Sorry, I thought I saw Da Vinci over here, and I was about to be really confused. And yeah, Gino Andrews is Gino Andrews. And a special thanks to all their extended family, UCSD School of Medicine. I wonder if they provided stuff for, like, a heart for modeling, maybe? F2, Interactive Media Agency, Presto West, Mac, Macromedia, the UCSD Library, which probably provided some of the historical materials. No cows were harmed during the production of Buried in Time. So that's a clue about the Easter egg, the Monty Python Easter egg. And that concludes Buried in Time. Now, there's 2 Easter eggs that I didn't go over. If you want to see them, check out Ryland's channel. As I have mentioned many times, he does cover both Easter eggs. One, basically, is if you hold E when moving out into the balcony in Da Vinci Studio, you can see Agent 3 doing like moonwalking dance. And then if you hold E on New Game, it just shows a 3D render of Caldoria from the first game being blown up. But yeah, so this game, honestly, I love it. This is my childhood, even after going through it. Nostalgia is strong for me. And I'm just really glad I got the chance to play this and that I knew about it. And like I've often said, if there were like any games that I could have my memory cleared so I could experience for the first time again, this would probably be, if not the top of the list, in the top 3 for sure. Just because it is such an amazing game. Like, this is what sci-fi is supposed to be. Using sci-fi as a vehicle to examine the human condition in the finest traditions of, like Star Trek and stuff. This is what it's all about. And I like that how we examine both people on an individual level, like Michelle Vizard, and her fear of humanity, as it were. How we examine Elliot Sinclair and his xenophobia, for example, and then stuff like humanity as a whole, how we've and what people think of it. How Elliot Sinclair. It's interesting. Despite their fear being driven, or perhaps because their fear was driven by different things, Elliot and Michelle had very different views on humanity. Elliot thought humanity would be like a lamb led to the slaughter when aliens came to Earth, that we were so peaceful, we would just willingly submit ourselves, and then they would take advantage of us and enslave us and kill us or whatever. Whereas Michelle Vizard thought that we were still violent animals that would lash out at the first opportunity. The first chance we had to get an advantage over everyone and take control, we would take it. These are starkly different views of humanity. Driven perhaps by their fears. Obviously, Michelle was afraid of our warlike side, whereas I guess in a way you could say Elliot was scared of our peaceful side, but also just of aliens. So now we know the Kryn, why the Kryn wanted the time travel technology. Now they sought to abolish it. They weren't playing for the chess. They were just lying to Michelle, and she was naive. They sought total galactic domination. I don't know. For some reason, they thought they had a divine right to own the stars, and it was only their evolutionary oversight that kept them from doing so, and they were going to use time travel technology to give them limbs so they could get to the stars faster and take everyone else over. And despite the fact that Icarus was officially acting on its own, they kicked the Kryn out of symbiometry, which probably indicates that he was not acting on his own. And it'll be interesting to see how these play out, how these symbiometry tech discussions play out, because they never really address that in this game or the next, but we can draw some conclusions. And basically what we can conclude is after the Agent 3 incident, Earth voluntarily suspends time travel, but it seems like the discussions remain deadlocked, or perhaps with the truth coming out, those who appeal for the dismantling and the appeal for sharing withdraw their appeals, and as such, humanity is left the sole keeper of time travel. But we'll get more into that next week. There's so much I could talk about this game, and I know I've already missed so much just because I don't script these. This is like a stream of consciousness thing, and so. Like, for example, I noticed during editing I missed at least 2 of Arthur's comments. One on the spear wall, which I believe would have just been him going, I wouldn't worry about it, everybody, limbo. And then there was another I missed in Chateau Gaillard, maybe? And I might have missed 1 or 2 more just because, unfortunately, knowing the game as well as I do, I tend to just move through it automatically because I know what to do and how to do it and just want to do it. It's a bit of a struggle to slow yourself down on something you know so well so that other people can enjoy it. I do apologize for that. Those comments and all the hints can be found on Orion's videos, which, again, I recommend that just because he's so thorough in what he does, especially with all the hints. I don't have the patience to go through like all the hints and all the possible deaths and stuff. Even though the death artwork is really good, and I do highly recommend you check it out. In fact, as of right now, still, when I'm recording this, my channel avatar is from the death screen for running out of oxygen without approaching the Amrak station. So, I mean, that's how good it is. Is that, like, it out of context, it doesn't even necessarily look like a death sequence. It's just so good. All the artwork is really good. But yeah, that is the Journeyman Project 2 Buried in Time. And we're actually going to be exploring a bit more of Elliot Sinclair and Michelle Bizard's psychology in the third game. Along with a couple other people. Because the Legacy of Time, the third game, serves as the conclusion to the Journeyman Project trilogy. There were plans for a fourth game, which I guess I can talk about it now because it's not going to be really spoilers, but basically it takes place after the third. And the only real teaser that was released is an old enemy comes back and Gage and Arthur have to suit up to save the day again, or something like that, which, I mean, we can make some assumptions here that old enemy means not the enemy of the third game, because that's still a new enemy, quote unquote. There are reasons it's not Michelle Bizard or Elliot Sinclair. I won't reveal those right now, because those are revealed in the third game, which basically leaves the Kryn as the final one. So you can assume that, after the events of the second game and during the third game, they're probably devoting a lot of their energy to developing time travel technology so they can alter history for their benefit. So I don't think the Kryn story is over. But unfortunately, because of Presto Studios being dissolved, we never got a finish to that story. And I think there is still a little wrapping up that could be done between Agents 3 and 5. But I think we could get into some of that in Legacy of Time. So I hope you enjoyed this at least half as much as I have. Because like I repeatedly said, I love this game, even with its flaws and all the like the audio and stuff. But the next game, I believe, does have significantly better audio balance. I know it has significantly better audio balance. I don't think it's quite perfect, but it will be a lot better than this game, even though I won't have volume controls. So, and we'll be starting that next week. So, with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there. And we'll see you then.